35 pounds of blueberries. Let's see, what are we going to do with these?
Okay, today I am making a blueberry coffee cake since we have 30 plus pounds of blueberries to use up. And before I start on the coffee cake, I want to talk about the pan. You want a 9 by 13 pan, and you want to grease and flour it. And what I use is I make my own combination of what I call pan grease. You take and you mix in your mixing bowl a half cup of shortening, I prefer Crisco, a half cup of oil, and either a sunflower oil, a safflower oil, or as last resort you can use a canola oil, and a half cup of flour. And you mix them all together, and if you store it in a cool place on your shelf, it'll be fine. It's shelf stable for a long period of time. If you live somewhere where you really have a lot of hot weather, you'll want to keep it in the fridge so it doesn't go rancid, but mine stays fine. And you grease your pan with that and nothing sticks. It works very well. Okay, now on to the coffee cake. What I've got in the bowl here is 1 1/4 cups of sugar and 2 1/2 cups of regular flour I've got mixed together. I'm adding a half teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add a couple of heaping teaspoons of cinnamon because we really like cinnamon. And you just mix that together. On the stove I've got melted a cup of butter, and I've got it cooling just a little bit, and I've added a teaspoon of vanilla and half a teaspoon, of almond extract to that. And you don't have to use the almond extract if you don't want to, but it really adds a nice flavor. And then you just add the slightly cooled butter to the flour sugar mixture. This makes a lot of crumbs to go on top of the coffee cake, and it's really good. And you want to make this part first before you get started on the coffee cake, because you just want to let this be able to set. And this is what it should look like. It's just crumbs. If you were to squeeze it, it would clump together. And you just want to set that aside while you make your cake batter. Okay, now we're going to do the cake part. I'm using the same bowl. I'm not even washing it. I've got a half cup of butter in there with a cup of sugar, and I'm just going to cream that together, and then we'll add a couple of eggs. Cream your butter and sugar really well, and then we'll add the 2 eggs, and we'll beat them in for a couple of minutes here and get them well mixed. And you want to beat it till it's really light and fluffy and a light yellow. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I tend to be really generous with my vanilla. Use a good vanilla, please, not the fake stuff. And we're going to add a cup of sour cream. This helps to add some moisture. And we'll blend that all together, and then we'll start adding the dry ingredients. Get the sour cream everywhere. Also adding a teaspoon of salt, adding a teaspoon of baking soda, and we're going to add about a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, give or take. And we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And my teaspoons tend to be heaping because we really like cinnamon. And just let that blend together. You'll have to stop and scrape down the sides of the bowl every once in a while. And we're going to add 2 cups of flour. We'll let that mix all together. You don't want to overbeat it at this point. You just want to get it till it's thoroughly mixed, and then by hand we're going to stir in the blueberries. And I'm not going to measure the blueberries. We're going to take probably between a cup and 2 cups. You can add as many as you like. What we'll do is we'll take them out. And the place we pick at is all natural. They don't use pesticides or anything, but we'll still rinse them off. Yeah. That looks pretty good. Just rinse them off a little bit. Now you just want to kind of gently fold the blueberries in so you don't totally smush them. And you can use any kind of fruit in there. I like apples in this. What I did was diced up a couple of apples and added it. But you can use raspberries. Diced peaches would be good. Or it's even good without any fruit at all in it. Just plain. So mix your blueberries in. We're going to spread it in the greased pan. And then we'll sprinkle the crumbs over the top. And then you just want to take and you're going to crumble the topping kind of evenly as you can over the top. Break it up, it'll clump up good. Just make an even layer as much as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's homemade. And this makes a pretty good layer, so don't be afraid to put it on thick. Lots of topping. Just the way we like it. And that's it. We're going to put it in the oven at 350. And we'll go from there. And you'll see it's nicely browned across the top. It took 30 minutes at 350. I started checking it at 25 just to be on the safe side. Every oven's different. But now you just need to let it cool off and ready to eat.
Something else to do with the blueberries. Mixed berry jam.
And it's done. Looks good. We'll give it a try.
Munchies.